Welcome to the College Football Prediction Roundtable presented here on the Bleacher Report app, where we're going to give you all our picks for this week. Week 3 of the college football season, guys. We are back and better than ever. I honestly don't want to see how we did last week, so we're going to go ahead and pretend like that did not happen. Kidding, we're going to have to do it. But I am Jay, one of your hosts at Unfair Sports. We've got Steven from Fanatic Perspective, Ty around the table sports, and Nick from NinosCorner. Gentlemen, happy Friday. How are you feeling today?
Outstanding.
Feeling good, Jay. Feeling good, man. Big week 2 for Texas. So Nino and I are coming in here in very good spirits.
Could be very good spirits.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Ty, same. So we're going to, go ahead and put the graphic up. Let's look at last week. We know that, these locks we had. Congratulations to Nick and Steven, who's tied for first.
Look at them Texas
sitting at
boys.
second and 15, and Ty's third, which obviously the voodoo that he was leveraging on us is no longer working. Yeah, the struggle was real when it comes to some of these picks that I put out there. Yeah, I want to take a quick victory lap, Nick and Steven.
Is Ty really have 11 points?
Yeah, I'm a little confused because we all had the same spread picks last week, so I'm kind of confused by this whole point thing and how that. But that's neither here nor there. I know I'm in last, but I didn't.
It don't matter.
Wow.
Don't matter. What we know is Ty's probably going to go on this massive run over the next 3 weeks and ruin everybody's day. So let's go ahead and start jumping into these games. We all know that you all want to know it. We've got 10. We've got some big picks. We've got some locks. Let's dive into game number 1. And that's going to be Arizona and Kansas State. I'm going to be honest. I'm pretty excited about this game. This is going to be a big one, right? Kansas State is a 7-point favorite at the crib as Arizona comes in, their first time in the Big 12, actually. I'm looking at this game, man. I'm going to be honest. The struggle was real with this one just because last week Kansas State had a scary game against Tulane. They had an opportunity to lose, and shockingly, they found a way to win it. So Arizona coming over as a 7-point dog with the over-under at 60.5. I think I'm going to ride with Arizona. I really like Noah Fafita. T-Mac is out here killing it, 12 catches, 315 yards, 4 touchdowns. I just think that they are one of the better teams in the country with their quarterback situation and wide receiver situation. They just need to go execute. I think that they can do what Tulane didn't and close out. Give me Arizona. Steven, who you got?
So, Jay, one theme that I'm going to kind of set today is a little bit recurring here is 2023 quarterbacks and Kansas State, because that quarterback class with Arch Manning and your guy Jackson Arnold and some of these guys, Nico, Kansas State has one in Avery Johnson, and he's really, really good. I was really impressed with his performance and moxie he showed in the Tulane game. And the reason that you're going with Arizona is why I'm going with Kansas State, because I think that Tulane game and the way Tulane was able to really push the ball downfield and threaten Kansas State, I think that actually prepares Kansas State for this attack that they're going to see tonight. But the thing is, Arizona has to go to Manhattan, bro. And Manhattan's a different animal on a Friday night. We came from Big 12 soil, Jay, and it's
That's
different on a non-Saturday. So for that reason, with Avery moving around the way he's moving and them getting tested last week by Tulane, I think that actually prepares them for this Arizona game. Give me Kansas State, but I think Arizona does cover. I think it's -7. I think Arizona does cover that, but give me Kansas State here.
Yep. -7 for Kansas State. Ty, who you got? Ty, I think you're muted.
I don't know how that happened, but okay. I'm taking Kansas State as well. And you're right, Jay. They had the close game against Tulane. And I think that's more to do with Tulane being a really good football team. That's part of the reason why I think OU versus Tulane is so interesting, because Tulane is exponentially better than the two teams Oklahoma has faced. But Arizona also didn't look that great against Northern Arizona. That was not exactly a banner game for them, and now they're going on the road to Kansas State, who will be by far and about the best team they have played. Whereas Kansas State has at least had that test game against an opponent who's a quality opponent. So I like Kansas State, but I do think this is going to be a great game.
Nick, who you riding with?
Man, give me Kansas State, man. Hey, look, man, Kansas State has rushed for over 200 yards a game in each of their last two games. Arizona allowed New Mexico to rush for more than 200 yards against them. I like Avery Johnson, too. He's really good with his legs as well. I think Kansas State's going to win this game in the trenches.
All right. Simple enough. Next game, next item up for bid. We're going to ride with Alabama and Wisconsin. So Bama travels up to Wisconsin. It's going to be an early game at 11 a.m. Right now, the Crimson Tide are riding in at minus 16. So a 16-point favorite on the road with an over-under at 49.5 right now. That over-under has dropped from the 52.5 that it opened at. Woo, that's a big drop. Of course, Alabama had their struggles in the beginning of the game against USF, even though I kind of attribute that to Alex Golish coming from Tennessee and USF just wanting to be a pain, a thorn in the side of Alabama. So going up there against Luke Fickell's squad of Wisconsin, give me Bama. I think that they roll in this game. Tyler Van Dyke is the quarterback at Wisconsin. I've seen his movies before. I understand what they typically end at. It's pretty predictable. But I do think that Luke Fickell is going to do some special stuff. It's going to be more of a challenge. I don't know if Bama covers this spread. I'm going to go Wisconsin covers this spread. But I think Alabama does grind this out and get themselves back on track. Give me the Tide. Steven?
I want to cede some of my time to Ty. A shameless plug here. We do a show on YouTube on Wednesdays called the SEC Connect. The four of us plus another OU brethren and Chris. And Ty wasn't on, neither was Jay. And I wanted to ask you guys about level of concerns for your football teams coming off of week 2. So I want to cede some of my time there. I'm picking Alabama because I think they're going to bounce back from the tough game against USF. Todd Orlando had some really special schemes and things that he did defensively that I don't think Fickell and them will be able to replicate now that it's been put out there. And I don't see Bama just having the goofy fumbles and random turnovers and just, it looked like a little, bloopers video at times before they got serious and ran away with it. Kalen DeBoer, too good. I've never seen Bama go up north like this before either. So, Ty, let me know if I'm wrong, if y'all have traveled like this, non-neutral. But give me Bama here. I do think they cover, Jay. I have them covered.
Okay. Good stuff, Ty. Our resident Bama fan. Talk to us.
Yeah, Bama and they cover. I'm going to tell you why. So to answer your question first, Stephen, I think you make a great point. I think USF has caught Alabama at the right time 2 years in a row. And let's really give some credit to USF. They run a veer and shoot offense that you're not going to see a whole lot. The quarterback understands how to run it beautifully. And defensively, Todd Orlando lives by the blitz, dies by the blitz. USF runs the most plays per minute at 3 plays per minute in all of college football. And they blitz at some of the highest rates. And I believe that's at a 63%. Alabama was without their left tackle. He's banged up. They moved their potential All-American left guard to left tackle, brand new left guard. Right tackle situation wasn't completely ironed out. The second they made the switch at right tackle, bang, 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 3 touchdowns right down the field. They were able to go and really hold them off. The one thing that this Bama defense, though, they're holding opponents to like under 105 yards through the air. This Bama secondary has been pretty good, and styles make fights. I know several of us here on the panel love combat sports. Styles make fights. Wisconsin isn't going to be able to blitz at that same rate because that's not what they do. And you're not going to abandon your identity just on a 1 week basis. Wisconsin defensively wants to run a 3-3-5, but they don't have the personnel to do so. So they're in this modified 4-2-5, and then they switch it when they get into the red zone to a different defense. But I don't think that they possess the same stylistic ability to hurt Bama in the same way that USF did. And I actually said that going into the USF game, that I thought USF was a bit more of a challenge. So I think look for Alabama to establish the run. Level of concern, last thing I'll say, if they handle this weekend, Stephen, my level of concern is very low. If we see another sloppy performance riddled with penalties, we'll have a different conversation come Wednesday.
So it looks like Bama did travel to Penn State 13 years ago. So it's been a while. I've slept a lot since then, so I would have definitely forgot that. Nick, what you got?
Hey, man, give me Bama, man. So look, Bama controlled these first 2 games. They killed the line of scrimmage. They've rushed for over 500 yards combined in the first 2 games. Muro's a problem with his legs too as well. I think, like Todd said, styles make fights, man. Wisconsin's going to want to come in here and go mano-a-mano, and I just don't think that they got the depth to go mano-a-mano with Alabama. Alabama's going to run away with this game. Give me Bama.
All right. Cross the board. So go ahead and fade us. Next game, we've got Arkansas State versus Michigan. Michigan coming off that loss to Texas. Michigan is a 23-point favorite. And I'm going to be honest, they'll figure it out. They're going to win this game, right? It's Arkansas State. As much as I like Butch Jones and appreciate what he has done there, I mean, they're 2-0 this year. They went to a bowl game last year after a drubbing against Oklahoma to start the season, 73-0. Pretty impressed that they're able to bounce back the way they did. But I think Michigan rolls in this game. They're going to be able to establish the line of scrimmage and run the ball, things they couldn't do against Texas. I think the defense steps up in this one to try to figure out their identity. And they've got to figure out their quarterback, in which hopefully by then they decide to, go with the better quarterback and make him throw the ball. Mm-hmm. We'll see if that happens. But I'm going to go with Michigan in this one. Just keep it simple. Stephen, who you got?
Yeah, I think Michigan bounces back this week. This is an opportunity with Fresno and Texas are a tough start to the season. So it looks like Fresno is going to be very, very good out in the Mountain West this year. We know what Texas is. So that's a really tough start to the season. Sharon Moore getting his contract settled this week, I think, is another, kind of plus, intangible type plus that you get. And I think, just trying to establish that physicality and that brand again. You have your kids' attention now. If you were still on that hangover from winning a national championship, even some of their better guys who looked a little gassed in the Texas game, Mason Graham comes to mind, Josiah Stewart comes to mind, hands on hips. I think that this is the week you start to get back to looking true to form and getting themselves ready for Big Ten play. Give me Michigan here, and I think Michigan will cover and get decent quarterback play in this game.
Ty, who you got?
I have Michigan. I don't know what true to form looks like for this Michigan team, though. I just don't think that they are near the Michigan of last year. Quarterback play leaves a lot to be desired through 2 weeks. Defensively, they have a solid defense. No, not taking that away from them. And that's not to say that they won't be a good team. It's just that if you are going to be a team that wants to shake some things up, you got to start showing it. You haven't so far. This is a perfect week to start letting people know, hey, it's just early season hiccups. Give me Michigan.
Nick?
Hey, man, real simple. Give me Michigan in this one too as well. I think man, they should run the ball pretty well here. Edwards should, have a decent game this game too as well. I just don't think, that, I think Michigan just has more talent on this team. They got more depth as well. This should be just a pretty easy game for them.
All right, let's go to the next game. This is the SEC game of the week. I don't care what anybody tells you. This is it. LSU traveling to South Carolina. This is a big one, right? LSU walks in here at a 6.5-point favorite with the over-under sitting at 48.5. The spread opened at 8.5, though, which means that it is dropped 2 points, which is pretty high for this, right? LSU, of course, bounced back-ish after the USC loss. That Nicholls State game was not pretty. And then South Carolina gave it to Kentucky. I mean, they gave it to them, and more than they even wanted. I'm going to go ahead and ride with LSU, though, in this game. I think Nussmeier figures it out. I think that even though the defense struggles, South Carolina's offense struggles. To me, I haven't really seen an offense that's been consistent yet. Sellers is trying, right? He's trying to figure things out. The run game is okay, but this offense has just been on the struggle bus, and I think Nussmeier is going to put it all together. So give me LSU to win this one. I think they cover the spread and win it by 7. Steven.
Yeah, LSU is not going to lose 2 games to 2 different USCs this year. So give me LSU here. That'd be nasty work by BK if that happened, by the way. That'd be nasty work. But Garrett Nussmeier, I think if you get the Garrett Nussmeier that played in Vegas and that offense, they just got to be disciplined. And, I think they're going to start – they started getting Caden Durham some snaps last week, running back out of Duncanville, freshman running back, who I think over time will become that guy for them. So they started getting him in the mix a little bit after the obvious injury to John Emery Jr., who tore his ACL. But LSU, it's discipline for them on both sides of the ball because they have the personnel to, deal with Rocket Sanders and all those guys on USC who, to be fair, USC was terrible week 1, and then they went out there and put it on Kentucky. And, that we'll talk Kentucky later on because they may be outright fraudulent. But LSU, I think they reestablished themselves. I think Nussmeier has a really big game. I think, Lacey and those guys offensively, they look good. And I think you will walk away from this game, LSU's defense making a little bit of noise, Coach Baker starting to get things going there in the Bayou. Even though I know it's at SC.
Good point. Ty, who you got?
Yeah, this one was a really hard one for me, and I bounced back and forth multiple different times because you have strength on strength, weakness on weakness. Neither team can run the ball. South Carolina's averaging less than 4 yards. I think it's like a 2.8 yards per carry. That being said, I'm taking LSU, and here's my reasoning. I know that USC has a great defensive front. I don't know what your secondary is like. And yes, you made the Kentucky offense look bad. The Kentucky offense is bad, right? Like there's no 2 ways around that. So was it your secondary or was it a quarterback who looked like we were playing 1919 style SEC football? It regressed so bad. At the end of the day, I have to go with the quarterback that I think in the situation can outright win it. And yes, South Carolina has got unbelievable talent on this edge. Dylan Stewart might be the best edge rusher in the nation as a true freshman. LSU hasn't given up a sack. So this is what I say, strength on strength, weakness on weakness. And Jay, before I pass it, I think that one of the reasons the spread has dropped is there was supposed to be, last night even, it looked like it was going to be some bad weather at the stadium. Today it looks like the weather is clearing up. But I think the spread is dropping because they're looking at this and neither team can run the ball if their lives depended on it. Or at least thus far, they haven't been able to run the ball if their lives depended on it. Now that the weather's clearing up, I wonder if we see more movement.
Makes sense. I wonder if LSU's going to have to pull out that freshman running back in order to try to figure out something. Nino, who you got?
I got LSU, man. So this means LSU's going to lose, right? Since we all picked them.
Fade us.
Dylan Stewart about to have 5 sacks.
He about to go crazy. Look here, man. LSU has one of the best O-lines here in the country, but is very intriguing that they can't run the ball with that great line. All right. So I look for somebody to be able to run the ball this week. Hopefully LSU can do it, man. But I got LSU. I trusted Nuss a lot in this game, even though Dylan Stewart is a bad man. But give me LSU.
Yeah. He is a bad man. All right, next game. Let's fly through this one. We've got the Notre Dame Fighting Irish traveling to play against The Purdue Boilermakers heading to West Lafayette, Indiana. I'm not sure how far of a travel that is for them, but Notre Dame's a 9.5-point favorite in this game. They're 9.5-point favorites in this game. With a 47.5 total in this game. I'm trying to figure out. They're a 9.5-point favorite in this after last week's situation. Now, granted, we do know Notre Dame has talent on their roster, right? They have a very high blue chip ratio, and the expectation, they figured out. Riley Leonard has 2 picks, but ain't passed for a touchdown yet. That is interesting. So, I'm going to have to go with Notre Dame, man. This feels like a straight-up trap by Vegas. The spread's this high. Everybody's going to take Purdue because of what happened last week. And I think it's, to quote Colin Cowherd, when a team embarrasses themselves on national television, the next week they somehow show out. So I'm going to go ahead and take Notre Dame to win that, and I think they actually cover the spread. I don't know how, but they will do it. Steven?
I think some of this, Jay, and I think you asked some good questions. I think some of this is a result of the mystery around Purdue as well. They've only played one game so far, so they've had technically 2 weeks to get ready for Notre Dame to come to them. Hudson Card, I got to give a shout out to former Texas quarterback, former Lake Travis quarterback Hudson Card, 24 of 25 for 275 and 4 touchdowns in week 1. So there's some concern here. If we're just looking at efficiency of what Purdue did to Indiana State in week 1, we got to say that as well. But Notre Dame can't be trusted. But I think last week was that Marshall moment, unfortunately, for Marcus Freeman. It happened again. I do like the fact that he picked up the Northern Illinois coach's offer to review the tape with him. The Northern Illinois, for those who don't know, he actually reached out to Marcus Freeman after the game and said, I would love to show you why I beat you, right? Go over that film with you I want better for you. So, some people may take that as disrespect, but, some brothers were looking out for some brothers. So with that being said, give me Notre Dame. I'm not picking them to cover, though. That offense, I got to see more from the offense. But I think Notre Dame somehow pulls this thing out against Purdue.
Go ahead.
Yeah, coaching fraternity taking care of each other. Ty, what you got?
Taking care of each other. That'd be like if Anderson Silva called Forrest Griffin and said, "This is how I whooped you in this fight." That's dastardly. That's something. I'm going to take Notre Dame. But this was another one, guys. There were a few games this week that kept me up. And this was one of them. Hudson Card is a veteran quarterback. Notre Dame, that offense has got to get it clicking. Yes, your defense has some players, but if you can't score, this is 2024. I like my rhyme scheme there. But I'm going to take Notre Dame in this game. I think that you have to blow teams out from here on out if you have any hope of getting into the playoffs. And what better way to start than this weekend?
That's the one. Nick, wrap us up.
I'm going against the grain on this one. Give me Purdue, man. I'm taking Purdue to win this game. I'm going to tell you why. Notre Dame could not pass the ball at all. Right? That win that they got, that great win in week 1, looks like fool's gold right now because we're seeing what A&M looks like too as well. Right? And so look here, man. I got Purdue shocking the world. It's at home too as well. Right? So I got them winning this game, man. I like Hudson Card too. But like Ty said, man, Notre Dame cannot score points. And if you can't score points with teams, you're not going to win. I don't care how great your defense is. This isn't like the vaunted 85 Bears defense, man. So I got Purdue shocking the world in this game. I got Notre Dame going to 1-2, and I got that first win in the season against TAMU looking like fool's gold.
Ooh, yeah. He's going really against the grain. All right. Next game, we've got Tulane coming to Norman, Oklahoma, to play against the Oklahoma Sooners. The Sooners right now are a 13-point favorite with a scoring total of 46.5 in perfect weather. That spread just screams trap for me because about 90% of all the action is on Tulane right now. So to answer your question, Stephen, I'm going to take Oklahoma in this game, of course. The big problem that Oklahoma's seeing on the offensive side of the ball is you come in with a young quarterback. and a young offensive line. And we all know that coming into the season. But then your safety net, which is your top 4 returning wide receivers, none of them have played yet. You also deal with 3 injuries on the offensive line. Jackson Arnold has had 4 centers in 3 games. Think about that. 4 centers in 3 games. Not very helpful to a young quarterback's development, especially when you throw in the wide receivers who are also young, still learning the route tree. But I think they figures and work things out in practice. This Tulane team is really good. I like Mensa. They're very big-time risk takers. Their defense is also very questionable. I think this is a good opportunity for Oklahoma to, in a way, prepare themselves for that big-time veer and shoot game that's coming against Tennessee. So they have to take Tulane seriously. I think Oklahoma wins this one. And in a shocking way, I think they cover the spread. I'm going to go 28-10 because that defense leads the country in turnovers, leads the country in turnover margin, and they're one of the tops in tackles for loss. They've been doing it. They just got to continue to do it. Something that Sooner fans are not used to. Having a defense that actually carries you. Give me the Sooners. Steven, who you got?
Jay, thank you for answering my question. I appreciate it, brother. And if this game was in Tulane, I would pick Tulane to win the football game. I'm leaning this to me. I think this is a very close game. I think the Sooners are in trouble because of the fact of this element of offensive lulls, right? And just not being able to put up points. It is extremely concerning only scoring 16 points against a bad Houston team. I'm sorry. When I look at Mensa, and again, same thing we were talking about earlier about them pushing the ball downfield. Mario Williams, former Sooner Mario Williams, who has been, very, very good so far this year, especially, catching passes, chunk yardage downfield. I understand the success the OU defense has had, but it's kind of unfair to them to say, hey, lock all that up, and then we're still going to try to score 17 points and get by out here. And that can't be the case in OU. And so I'm thinking that, to your point, Jay, OU's offense is able to manufacture something. Get the run game going if you're OU. I don't care if it's Tatum, Barnes, whoever, right? They got to get the run game going to help Jackson Arnold out. If you leave this game in his hands, both running and throwing, then the fourth quarter we're going to be texting Jay, making sure he's okay and his heart is fine, because that will be problematic. I do think, though, I think Tulane's going to put up points, but I think OU's going to be able to manufacture some turnovers. Mensa can be careless with the ball too. And the strip sacks concern me. Some of the picks concern me. I think he makes a couple mistakes, big ones in this game. And OU wins a very, very close, scary game. But they get a key non-offensive touchdown. Give me OU.
Ty, who you riding with?
I will take OU, but I don't think they cover.
Reluctantly.
Right? Yeah, I don't think they cover. Here's the thing. Jay, you're right about the offensive line, but one of my concerns for OU going into the season has reared its ugly head. I don't think the play calling with Seth Luttrell has been good at all. In fact, your first play last week, that jet sweep, fundamentally made no sense the way that it was blocked. You took their defensive end and your tackle ran him right into the jet sweep. Brilliant. By all means, brilliant play design. And you're not helping out your young quarterback. You have a young that right now is a one-read guy. If his first read isn't there, he's bailing out of the pocket, whether it's clean or not. And I just don't think Seth Luttrell has been very good at all. And listen, I'm a UNT alum. I watched it firsthand here, and it wasn't good. They won games, but boy, howdy, was it ugly. That being said, I do love y'all's defense. I think your defense is fantastic. You need to establish a run. And like Steven said, if you don't establish a run against Tulane, who is really weak in the middle, if you can't run it down their throat, there are bigger issues that Oklahoma will have going into this season, because this is a team that you should establish the run. I have Oklahoma winning. I do not have Oklahoma covering.
Nino, wrap us up.
Hey, man, I got OU too as well. So that means OU is going to lose this game since we all picked them. Look here, man. Kansas State rushed for over 200 yards against Tulane. Okay. like Todd said, this is the opportunity for OU to establish some kind of running game. Now, we understand, look, I'm a big fan of Beatonbow, and so he should be able to get this corrected throughout the season. But if they don't get it corrected this week, with Tennessee coming up next, there's going to be a lot of problems for OU starting next week on. But I think this is going to be a very close game as well, too. I like Tulane a lot. I mean, I stayed up last night kind of thinking about this game on which one I was going to pick, but I got OU winning this game. And I think they do cover in this game. I think they get a couple late touchdowns, but that offense has to improve because they're not giving any justice for their defense, man.
Fair point. All right, let's fly through. We've got a few more. We got 3 more that we need to fly through. First off, we've got Oregon State. The Civil War still exists. Kind of surprised, but I'm very proud of them for actually working things out and keeping the game going. Oregon's traveling to Oregon State, so they'll be in Corvallis as a 16-point favorite with over-under sitting at 49.5. I'm going to go ahead and ride with Oregon, make it quick. I'm very surprised at the last 2 games by Oregon. You would have expected with all the talent they have that they've been blowing the doors off people. Nah, that ain't what it's looking like. Dylan Gabriel's putting up numbers, but they ain't putting up actual scores, which is wild to me. But I think Oregon goes out there. They handle business. I do not see them covering the spread because I won't pick them to cover the spread until they actually cover a real spread. Give me Oregon. Steven?
Yeah, give me Oregon here as well. I don't feel great about it. I also don't feel great about seeing the Civil War happening in September. This and the Apple Cup are late fall, early winter. That's early winter, late fall football. So it sucks that we're in this situation, but I'm glad, like you said, we have the game regardless. I just think that the more Dylan Gabriel and those guys get, the more reps together and the more that they'll be able to start to look like what they were supposed to look like. I just don't think if Oregon State still had Jonathan Smith was still there and not at Michigan State, and Damian Martinez and them guys were still there, and Bolden was still there, yeah. But I just think that Oregon State's lost a little too much firepower to make this game honest how it should be. I don't think Oregon looks great again, but I think they survive. Give me Oregon.
Ty.
Well, listen, I might not understand this point system, but I have to be bold, right? Give me Oregon State, and I'm going to tell you why. Oregon comes in with the 73rd ranked defense the 73rd ranked offense in the nation. They wish their defense was. They have the 89th ranked defense in the nation. They played a Boise team close who, yes, Gene T's the best running back in the nation. Boise also has a defense outside the top 120 in the nation. Oregon State has 3 guys right now running the football that are all averaging over 5 per. Oregon is more talented. Yes, this is Oregon State's Super Bowl, right? This is the game for them that if they win it, it means everything. Oregon still has Ohio State. Like, Oregon still has some games down the road. Give me Oregon State to pull off the upset.
All right. Nick, who you got?
It's another one, man. I was thinking, I switched my pick at the end, but I kept it, man. I got Oregon winning this game. They have more talent. They do. They got DG. They got the Evan Stewarts. I think we're going to look back at that game against Boise State, and I think we're going to realize Boise State was a really good team, right? And it was, I think that was a pretty good win, for them. But, all the concerns are there. Ty's right. All the concerns are there for Oregon. This offense should be humming. It should. And it's not. You got a veteran quarterback who's been in college for 15 years now in DG. There should be continuity. Hey, man, this should be a constant stream of like moving water for that offense, man. And it's not, and they went out and got a Stewart too, man. And Stewart's one of the best wide receivers in the country. So I got Oregon winning this game. I don't think they cover. But it's going to be a very, very close game, man. But give me Oregon just on talent alone.
All right, next game up, we've got Colorado taking on Colorado State. They'll be up there in Fort Collins. Colorado right now is a 7-point favorite after that Nebraska situation. And I got to give one thing to Colorado. Their second half defenses have shown up. They've given up 6 points in 4 quarters, the second half of games. They don't start out very well on defense. they've got to start off very good on defense in this game. And the one thing for them is that Colorado State talks a lot more than they do. And that's something that we're all shocked about. Give me Colorado to win this game. And I actually think they cover the spread on this one. They've got to establish a run game, which they have not done, which just seems like a theme for a lot of teams in college football this year. Either you have a run game or you don't. And it's like glaring right now. But I'm going to take Colorado to win this one. I actually think they cover the spread on this one. I think that they figure out and learn some stuff from Nebraska. Travis Hunter is probably one of, if not the best player in the country. Shadur's going to find a way to get him the ball. Hopefully they figure out a run game, but I don't think Colorado State's very good. Give me Colorado. Steven?
Jay, I'm actually kind of in the same boat as you, man. I mean, this is, let me be clear though, this is a referendum for Prime at this point already in the season, because the Big 12 schedule is so daunting and people are trying to identify where these wins going to come from, what's going to build momentum. He cannot lose this football game. They cannot lose this football game, or else they'll start to lose the locker room. So give me Colorado here just with everything that's on the line. And I think Colorado State, to your point, the trash talking that's been going on definitely fuels this rivalry. And I think it's pretty cool because they had a really good game last year. I think this is the Travis Hunter get back game. Henry Blackburn, we got to get you back in blood, brother. So, I think this is a game where Travis Hunter really pops off and has just amazing performance. If not, we're asking way, 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 way bigger questions because it's Colorado State's team. It's not as good as I thought they'd be coming into the season. I wasn't really impressed with them in week 2 against Northern Colorado. So I feel good taking Colorado here and actually covering, believe it or not.
Wow, time to pop off and show them, right? Ty, who you got?
Yeah, there were several games this week, guys, where I was like, man, I'm ping-ponging between what I want to pick, right? But I think at the end of the day, I'm going to go Colorado because Colorado State, they've just left a little bit to be desired. And I think if it goes to a shootout against two teams that don't have great defenses, I'll take Colorado in that shootout because their wide receiver room is good. And I understand Shiloh isn't playing, but the defense hasn't exactly been the strong suit of Colorado when he has played, right? It is a loss, no doubt about it. You want him there healthy. But I think at the end of the day, I'm going to take Colorado just because if this gets into a passing shootout, I'm gonna ride with the Buffs.
All right, Nick, who you got?
Hey, man, this is Colorado. Colorado has to win this game. But they can't run the ball at all, man. They got to figure that out. I don't think it's going to happen this season. It might not ever happen at Colorado, to be honest with you. Look, man, I hope it does. They got too much talent at the wide receiver position, for them not to be able to run the ball and actually open up the pass a little bit more. But like Steven says, man, this is a game that I think Colorado has to win because after they win this game, if they do win this game, it might be the last one they get for a while. They got a pretty tough sled ahead of them. They got Arizona, like in 2 weeks after that. So they got a pretty tough sled, man. So they got to get this game.
I can see that. That's a good one. All right, across the board. So go ahead and fade us. Last big matchup before we get into the big spreads. We've got Boston College and in Missouri. Well, we'll do UTSA in Texas first, and then we'll do Boston College, Missouri at the end. But UTA, Texas, it's going to be the big spread of the week. We've got Texas at 35.5, and the spread keeps going up. Yeah, Texas is going to cover that spread. This is a game where, even though they have, next week, they've got to start thinking about, University of Louisiana Monroe, going to be a daunting planning session for that game. So I think Texas is going to go out there and be like, hey, we've got to preserve our bodies for that next week. They cover that spread very easily. Give me Texas. Steven?
Yeah, I'll be quick with this one. Texas, first night game of the season. I think Arch Manning probably starts the second half, gets a lot of work. Jonte Cook, Wisner, and those guys. Arch probably going to have 150 yards plus passing and maybe a couple touchdowns. Give me Texas to cover the 35.5. UTSA is not a good football team right now.
They've been showing it. Ty, what you got?
Yeah, give me Texas to cover. I don't have too much to say outside of that.
Nick.
Easy peasy, same thing. 35's easy. Next.
He said 35's easy. Okay. We got Georgia riding against Kentucky. It's another SEC matchup, but yeah, Georgia is only a 22-point favorite in Lexington, which is a little odd. I figured it'd be a lot higher than that, but Georgia's been rolling. They've only given up 6 points this season, and 9 points in their last 3 games, which is even more just glaring, if anything. But I think Georgia goes in there. As Ty said before, Kentucky's offense looks like it's back in like early football when they didn't know how to have the forward pass. So give me Georgia to just blast and cover this spread. Steven?
I'm going to go a little surprise here. I think Kentucky may have been also looking a little bit ahead past South Carolina last week. Mark Stoops and them, they're better coached and they have a better program than what they showed, in my opinion. Now, this is also Brock Vandergrift's last stand against his former team. If not, then you're super fraudulent. But I like Kentucky to cover, right? It's what, 22? Something like
22
that?
22 right now, yeah.
Yeah, Kentucky's played Georgia okay the last few years. So yeah. I like Kentucky to cover. Not that this game is going to be worrisome for Georgia. I still have Georgia winning by 3 scores. I just don't think it'll be 22 points.
So a 21-point win. Makes sense. Ty, who you got?
Give me Georgia to cover. I don't disagree about that not looking like a normal Stoops team, but it also looks like the team halfway quit. And if you aren't totally bought in, I don't know what to tell you, man. And like I said, the offense looks like it's from the 1919s. And if you can't test Georgia deep and you let them pin their ears back, you're in for a long, long day. I don't know. Before the year, I would have thought more highly of Kentucky. But as of right now, I think they have an uphill battle in front of them. But I like Georgia to cover this game.
Nino.
Hey, man, give me Georgia to cover this, man. Georgia covered and some against Clemson, right? They won by what? Was it 30, 31 points? Kentucky doesn't have near the talent, that they have. And I get it. It's at Kentucky. And I like Stoops. I do like Stoops a lot. But Georgia's just going to be too powerful, too strong, too deep, and so them just being a deep team, just in the trenches, man, I think Georgia actually runs away with this game. And I think it might get really ugly here by the third quarter.
All right, final game. Gonna fly through this one. We've got one of the early specials on the SEC Network, which sucks. This needs to be nationally televised. We've got Boston College traveling to Missouri, playing out there in Columbia. Right now, Missouri is a 15.5-point favorite. Wow. Especially after Boston College has I guess you could say, the 2 upsets that they've shown in theory. Florida State game was fantastic. Duquesne, we knew they was going to destroy them, but the Florida State game either shows that Boston College is solid or Florida State's frauds, which I think they're more frauds than anything because we're seeing that exposed the next week. So I think Missouri wins this game. I don't think they cover. I think that Boston College does a really good job of running it, and they burn a lot of clock, right? I think they're going to be eating up the clock in this game. And Missouri, as fast as they're going to like to score, Bill O'Brien has done pretty good with this team. Like, it's just kind of shocking how well they played. I'll give him that in his first year. It's like they turned the program around. So give me Missouri to win, but I think Boston College covers this spread. I think it's a 14-point win, so they don't hit the 15.5 spread. Steven, who you got?
So I think this is going to be a really fun football game. Let me just say that first off.
Yes.
Boston College, they have the Sheehan Kyler Murray over there playing quarterback. The Walmart Kyler Murray out there. Whatever version value. You want to, great value Kyler Murray out there playing quarterback. That guy is a menace, okay? So he's going to cause some problems. I don't think Missouri's 89-0 start to the season will hold up, right? Because he's going to come in there and really cause some issues. But I think Brady Cook Luther Burden, Nate Noel, Marcus Carroll at running back, those two guys at running back, nobody's really popped off yet. They've been chilling. They've been getting a lot of people reps. They've been winning comfortably. This is going to be the game where Luther Burden, you remember the Luther Burden from last year with 150 yards receiving. You'll see Noel and Marcus Carroll start to pop off. And Brady Cook, also one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the country. Give me Mizzou, and I do think they cover the spread.
Ooh, all right. Ty, who you got?
I'll take Missouri. Now covering is interesting. That's going to be really fascinating to whether they can cover. But I'll let you know why I'm taking Missouri. As good of a team as Boston College is, and I think Boston College is going to make this interesting. There were times in the Florida State game that Florida State had wide receivers running open, and the opportunities were there for the taking. Brady Cook is not going to miss them like DJU is, or at least he's going to miss them at a far lower percentage than did DJU. Plus, I think that Missouri has a better wide receiver room than Florida State does. In fact, I think Missouri is better at every area of the ball than Florida State is. So I'm going to take Missouri. Covering, though, man, I don't know. That's fascinating. I'm going to say they don't cover. But I do, Jay, I agree with you. I think that it is that hairline for me. I could see a 14-point win, but the 15.5, that's where it's like really ticky-tack. So, yeah, give me Mizzou, though.
All right, Nick, wrap us up. Put the bow on it.
Hey, man, give me Missouri. All right. So somebody come fade us again, man. Give me Missouri. I like Missouri, man. Cook is very underrated. I love Luther Burden. Weiss had a really good game, too, last game. Look, man, I'm one of those fans that I thought I didn't know where they were going to get their actual running game once they lost Schrader. Man, they loaded up, getting the guy from App State, Nasty Nate. That's what I'm going to start calling from now on because he looked really good in those last two games. Man, Steven tried to warn me about that about 3 months ago. But, yeah, man, give me Missouri, and I do think they cover, man. I think Nate goes off this game, man. I really do. I think he goes off this game.
Okay, all right. Well, that's where we have it. Let's look at these picks this week and see what we got. Looks good. Looks like everybody's got themselves a nice little setup. We've got our three picks that are different with me at Arizona. You got Purdue, and then you've got Oregon State, and then the Kentucky covering the spread, which I was leaning that direction too, Stephen. So I understand that. And Mortal Lock. I'm going to toss mine out there real quick. Y'all throw y'all's out there. I'm going with Bama winning their game. I'm on the money line. So give me Bama as my Mortal Lock. We're going to ride with that because they better win that game. Steven?
I'm going with Pitt over West Virginia in the backyard brawl. Eli Holstein, another 2023 QB who's out here balling. Desmond Reed is the best running back in the country that nobody knows. Pitt's running back, Desmond Reed, y'all go check him out. He averages 8 yards per carry. He is dynamite. They have a dynamite runner back there. Real small dude from Miami. Reminds me of them West Virginia backs from back in the day, which is ironic because he about to do it to them.
Love it. Ty, Mortal Lock. Then we're going to wrap up.
Yeah, my Mortal Lock was going to be Alabama covering the spread, but you took that one, right? So I guess I'll change it up. Yeah, I know. My Mortal Lock is now that Oregon does not cover and that Oregon State gets that done. They cover the spread.
Oregon State, all right. And Nick, who's your Mortal Lock for the week?
My Mortal Lock is Florida's going to beat A&M. All right. So A&M's favored in that game by 3.5 points. I got Florida winning that game.
Florida money line.
Connor Weigman is not playing, right, Steven? I don't think he's playing, right? So there's some news. It's questionable. It's up and down. I think Lagway comes in and does this thing and he beats A&M. And I think Florida just outright wins the game.
All right. That's some good stuff right there. Well, thank all of y'all for pulling up to the College Football Prediction Roundtable presented here on the Bleacher Report app exclusively. I'm Jay, Steven, Ty, and Nick. We appreciate it. And good luck, and we'll see you all next week. Peace.